The 2023 campaign begins. Jordan Smith on the return inside his 5, has a crease, finds some space, and then stood up just past the 20-yard line. Well, this was the scene after the conclusion of the Celebration Bowl last season, the announcement of the 22nd head coach of Jackson State, their very own T.C. Taylor. For more on the Tigers, head man will sit it down to Harry Lyles Jr.
Yeah, guys, and look, this is a new era of Jackson State football. It's not the end just because Coach Prime is not here. T.C. Taylor has had to answer questions about that all weekend. At no point at all has he ever been, hey, can you please not ask me about that? He's very confident, and you saw it in that locker room with those players. They're excited for him to be their head coach. He says he is ready to seize this moment tonight. He says, watch for some physical football.
Thanks so much, Harry. We appreciate it as Corey Fields gets underway. Starts off the season with an incomplete pass. Justin Smith-Brown, his intended target. As we say hello and welcome you inside the booth, along with the former Howard University and NFL quarterback, Jay Walker. I'm Tiffany Greenwald. This is South Carolina State that comes back season. You know, they won the Celebration Bowl a couple of years ago against Jackson State. What can we look for the Bulldogs this year?
One thing about any team coached by Buddy Pugh, the defense is going to be there. But I think when it comes down to South Carolina State, when they struggle, we always say sometimes offense is optional in Orangeburg. If Corey Fields can deliver the football and show that senior leadership they expect, look for this to be a very talented South Carolina State Bulldog offense.
Sixth and final season in Orangeburg, a new OC and DC for the Bulldogs. When you're on the side, you look at Jackson State, and they find themselves with a new coaching staff as well.
And I think, defensively, what they have to work on, everybody knows they lost their quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, who was fantastic. But the safety position, the backside, who's going to step up in that secondary to make sure this remains a championship caliber defense?
A solid start as the defense for Jackson State forces a 3-and-out on the Bulldogs. Opening possession, you see the pressure there.
Yeah, that's what they have to do, is get to the quarterback, try to make him feel uncomfortable. And this is just one you have to pick up. Just a 4-man rush, able to get to the quarterback, make him get rid of the football early. Impressive start for JSU, forcing a 3-and-out.
The Tigers had the top defense in all of FCS a season ago. The new punter is Maxion Cobb, who bobbles the snap, finally gets it off, and it's going to be really good field position to start things off for Jackson State. This is not the way you want to see things executed if you're Buddy Pugh.
Yeah, and a missed opportunity for Jackson State to take advantage of this. The punter drops the ball not once, not twice, 3 times before he's able to get rid of the kickoff. Fortunate that ball was not blocked, and they had a punt return on instead of a punt block.
Again, a freshman out of Orlando, Florida. Those jitters there. I wonder if there are going to be some jitters here for the graduate transfer and Jason Brown suiting up for the first time in a Jackson State uniform, having spent some time at a number of different institutions, last at Virginia Tech.
Jason Brown won the quarterback battle. It was a 3-way battle to be the starting quarterback. He's been battle tested. They like his high football IQ. They just hope the moment isn't too big for him. When you look at where he's been, it says it shouldn't be. The fact that he started at St. Francis in FCS football, went on to South Carolina, then Virginia Tech. He's been around the block a few times, but this is his team. He has an opportunity to prove that he can get the job done.
So many new faces that will introduce you to this season. Ball security was an issue for J.D. Martin. He fumbles the football. We'll see who pounces on top of it as there's some extracurricular away from the football. On second down, here's another look, and ooh, popped out right there. And recovered by Duke Miller. But there, laying the tackle was in Jerry Dunham.
We talked about the fact that one thing South Carolina State's going to do, they're going to hit you. They're going to try and put more wood on you than you put on them. And that was a good, hard hit on run-stop defense.
Some motion before the snap. And the first penalty marker coming out as our SWAC officiating crew, led by Preston Clipper, will give us the call.
Outside, defense number 82 with contact. 5-yard penalty, still third down.
So now that brings up 3rd and 1. for Jackson State from the Bulldogs' 46-yard line.
Then kind of a little slick play there when the tight end went across the formation in motion. DJ Stevens kind of shuffled his arms a little bit and forced Patrick Godbolt to jump off sides, couldn't hold still, giving him 5 valuable yards.
Brown hands it off, and there's Irv Mulligan, and Mulligan on his way into the end zone. First touchdown of the season for Jackson State.
Great.
46 yards to the house for Irv Mulligan.
Great job of setting it up. They talked about Mulligan. They like his quickness and ability to run the daylight. And good job seeing vision, seeing the hole, and bouncing to the outside. South Carolina State actually did a good job of bottling this up, but one guy got out of position. Coming out of position, opened up a wide open running lane. Great job of execution by Irv Mulligan.
Good block from Kirk Ford to spring Mulligan for that 46-yard touchdown as some movement up front. More laundry on the field.
All-star, offense, number 74, 5-yard penalty, retry.
So Beza lining up to kick the extra point. Three plays, 55 yards, only 90 seconds to find daylight for Irv Mulligan, who springs it for 46 yards. Tigers strike first. No Mulligan needed for Irv. He got it done on that 46-yard run, and the Tigers pumped up as one of the new faces in this program. 60-plus in total for Jackson State. A lot of turnover on the roster, but TC Taylor felt really confident coming into the year, saying we got some new faces, yeah, but we got some talented dudes that can get it done. Jordan Smith received it, and he's got some space, and he's not good. Now let's go back to that play, Jay, of how things unfolded.
And when you're doing run-stop football, it's assignment football. Do your job. Take a look at Jalen Evans right here, who they bring down in the box. Fantastic job by the guard here, Deontay Graham, getting his guy. When Evans takes that inside-out approach, makes him pay. All of a sudden, the outside lane is open, and a running back with good vision is going to make you pay. When you've got run assignment football, you must do your assignment. Don't try to be the hero. That cost the Bulldogs.
Jalen Evans, who missed all of last year with an injury prior to camp last season. We'll try to see if the Bulldogs offense can get something going as the pass is complete to Richard Bailey. Bailey, one of those reliable targets, returning for Corey Fields, as Kedron Callaghan making the tackle.
And early in this game, what I'm noticing is in these contests in years past, the MEAC has been the more physical team than the SWAC. This Jackson State team, I think, is tired of hearing that. Right now, they're not only matching the physicality of South Carolina State, but they're exceeding it. They're bringing it to the Bulldogs, hitting the quarterbacks, and flying to the football.
On 2nd and 11, Fields looking to the outside, one-on-one coverage, and nearly picked off. As good defense there from Jaheim Hazel. And 3rd down upcoming. And you go back to the last couple of seasons, Jackson State saw their years come to an end by way of South Carolina State in 2021 and last year to the hands of North Carolina Central.
And, you know, good look there at head coach TC Taylor. He knew what that chip was all about. When this game was scheduled a couple years out, it turned out to be the perfect matchup for an opportunity for, as they like to call it, the big payback down in Jackson. And so far, Tigers off to a good start. Big 3rd down here for South Carolina State.
From their own 29, pressure, dropping back. And again, in his face, Devontae Davis. So early on, the Tigers have been successful with their push up front.
Yeah. making Corey Fields uncomfortable, forcing him to get rid of the ball quicker. That was supposed to be a slip screen, but he did not even have enough time as Devontae Davis, the former high school linebacker turned defensive tackle, able to get penetration. Although he didn't get credit for the sack, it's that timing. It's little things like that that don't show up in the stat sheet that let you know what an effective defensive tackle is doing.
Cobb handling this one this time, and Isaiah Spencer will watch it go out of bounds. Here's our first Thursday night game of the college football season. Number 14, Utah, hosting the Gators out of Florida. Thursday at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN and the app.
Yeah, you know, interesting test there. Normally teams from the SEC like Florida, they don't go out west. They're going out west, going into Salt Lake City to take on the Utes, and don't sleep on Utah. Very underrated team. People talk about the woes of the Pac-12, but last time I checked, they had more than 5 teams ranked in the top 15, and Utah being one of them.
For more on Florida, let's go down to Q, who's got a cool connection between the Gators and the Bulldogs.
Yeah, we were singing Buddy Pugh's praises. We didn't talk about his coaching family tree. Billy Napier, Florida head coach, a former assistant, as is Tony Elliott, the head coach now at the University of Virginia.
Jason Brown unloads. He's got a man down the seam, and the pass is incomplete as Fabian McCray was the target.
Buddy took over for Willie Jeffries, who was a legend, and he's become one himself. And between those two head coaches and more than a dozen ex-players involved in the strength and conditioning industry, he gave me the list yesterday of how many programs. It had to be a dozen programs that have strength and conditioning coaches from the South Carolina State Bulldog program.
Thanks so much. His branches reach far as he's helped to plant so many careers in his 4 decades as the completion out to Duke Miller. But to put a button on that point, you know, you think about Billy Napier. I remember last year in SEC Media Days talking about how Buddy Pugh awarded him his first full-time coaching job, coaching quarterbacks and calling plays for this Bulldog offense. And he said this: great leader, tremendous wisdom, and he's one of the guys that finds a way. Now 3rd and 4 for Jackson State. Scored on their opening drive. And Jason Brown lofts it up, tries to go to Mulligan down the sideline, overthrown, and it'll bring up the punting unit.
You got to make that pass. I mean, one thing I've noticed right now, the battle at the line of scrimmage is being won by Jackson State. No pressure on the pocket on Jason Brown. Hasn't been touched yet. You've got a running back coming out of the backfield on a swing route. It takes a little bit longer to get open. If you hold on to that ball just for a second and a half longer, that can be a big play in that matchup, and I think he knows he missed that opportunity for a big play.
Now getting the right personnel on the field as Richard Bailey back to receive the punt. Matt Knoll standing on his own 35-yard line. Kicks it away, and fair caught by Bailey. Bulldogs have stalled on their opening 2 possessions. We'll see if South Carolina State can get something going on the other side.
Since 1870.
The Cricket MEAC-SWAC Challenge Kickoff is brought to you by Cricket 5G and in part by Coke Zero Sugar. Is Coke Zero Sugar best Coke ever? Take a taste.
Good seeing you, man. Hey, if you like me, you want to see what your team looks like. Listen, I really like what you've done. So continue to do what you're doing. Yes, you'll be fine. You'll be better than that. You make them forget about that guy. Let me tell you something. I followed Willie Jeffries for 22 years.
That is gold right there, as Coach Pugh providing us all access. And you think about guys who have paid their dues. Coach Pugh on his way out and starting his apex of his career as Coach Taylor. And right now, we're getting a chance to see the freshman, Jawan Howell, the true freshman out of Mooresville, North Carolina. Picked up 6 yards, one of those promising players for Buddy Pugh's Bulldogs.
Then when you come into a game like this, you heard Coach Pugh just tell Coach Taylor, now you like me, you want to see what you got. Well, they've been wanting to see what Howell could do in game action. They're good-looking, true freshman, from that Charlotte area, got great size and ability. They think he can be the next great South Carolina State running back.
Picking up positive yards for the first time. Tyler Smith trying to gain some more. Pile ahead, not much room to run. That'll bring up third down and manageable. But you love listening in to Coach Pugh and just the way that he's always found a way to give back to other coaches. A great respect shared between him and Coach Taylor.
I mean, what else can you say besides, hey, I followed a legendary coach for 22 years. And Willie Jeffries was a huge shadow. And I like the advice that he gave to T.C. Taylor over on the other sideline. Just keep doing what you're doing, and they'll forget about the other guys. That's a tall task, but right now, leading this game 7-0, off to a pretty good start here in Atlanta.
So yeah,
These Tigers climb to the pinnacle of the mountain. Catmandu, that man too. Lim Barney, and that sugary substance. Walter Payton, sweetness we won't see soon. And the likes of Dr. Doom, Robert Brazil, and the last player of fame, Jackie Slater is the name. A who's who list of Hall of Famers on both sides as the pass broken up by Keedron Callaghan on that 3rd and 3. And so the Bulldogs, who have not had a lot of positive yardage in this game yet, still looking to get something going.
Yeah, trying to move the pocket here with Fields, and ball a little bit too outstretched. Might have been short of the yardage anyway. Good defense by Jackson State. Callaghan comes up. It's a guy they say has NFL talent. Able to make sure the play wasn't completed.
Cobb, 3rd punt. This one squibbed across midfield and down at the 39-yard line. When you think about this Jackson State program, 3 seasons under Coach Prime, and over the last 2 years, the most dominant force in HBCU football, going 23-3 in that time, but they walked through the SWAC untouched over the last 2 seasons. And you think about those who have come out of Jackson State and some impressive products for sure from the folks in the capital city of the SIP.
And I go on record, I'd say, you know, we always talk about what's the hottest HBCU at times, and I would think, wow, what a run.
Bulldozing over as J.D. Martin picking up the first down, a gain of 11, pushed out by DeMarcus Doe.
And Martin, you know, after putting the ball on the turf earlier, does a good job of, this is how you finish off a run. You showed talk about Walter Payton and the home of sweetness. Well, that's how you bounce off a would-be tackler, pick up extra yards after contact.
6'1" senior, who they are happy to hand the ball off to. They feel like he is their playmaker. Gain of a couple on that run.
And here's something that JSU needs to do. South Carolina State hasn't showed up yet. I mean, the defense gave up the big play. Offense hasn't gotten it going, but they're only down by a score. When you get a team like this down early, you have to lead by more than just one score, one possession.
Mulligan, who had that 46-yard run for a touchdown, still on his feet. Past the 30. And the hole just opened up for Herb Mulligan. He took advantage.
And what we're seeing from Mulligan is the ability to stay patient and then accelerate and run with power. The transfer from Wofford is finding daylight, getting to the second level, and making would-be tacklers feel his pain.
Strong run on first down brings up 2nd and 3. You see a little tempo change there from Maurice Harris, the new offensive coordinator, and now working and driving down the field as Mulligan having productive runs now in the red zone.
And what I like about Mulligan, he transferred from Wofford. If you know anything about FCS football, Wofford, triple option team. So any running back you have that comes from Wofford is going to have the ability to run in between the tackles. Great pickup by T.C. Taylor in this recruiting class, which was ranked #1 in all of HBCU football.
Now on 1st and goal, they hand it off to J.D. Martin, who is brought down and met by Zan Dunham. So far, success on the ground, having their way up front. 87 yards in the rush game. Martin gets the call again, number 8. And getting tackled by the Bulldogs. Pickup of maybe 1.
Good job. I see what they're doing. Offensive coordinator Maurice Harris from Jackson State is double teaming Jablonski Green wherever he lines up, sending 2 at him. So basically they're willing to say, we think we can win the one-on-one matchups, but they're doubling up on number 34. And when that happens, when you need 43, now you don't see Jablonski out on the sideline taking a breather because he's been double teamed on consecutive plays.
Brown feels the pressure, somehow still stays on her feet, and is wrapped up by Patrick Goppold, a preseason first-team All-MEAC selection. Guy who's been in this program and knows what to do in these situations.
Good job. This is what you talk about the motor. Beats his man one-on-one, goes for the strip sack, doesn't get it, but continues to pursue the football and gets the sack that they desperately needed to take away momentum from Jackson State.
Loss of 5 on the play. Beza on to attempt the 30-yard field goal. And that'll push the Tigers back.
Number 74, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
DeAndre Towns Blue, the guilty party up front. And so far, TC Taylor has to be pleased with what he's seen from the Tigers. They have really controlled the tempo and pace of this game. And that one just beats off the right goalposts and no good. So coming up empty on that drive for Jackson State. And if you're South Carolina State, you have to be happy with any win that you can get right now.
Absolutely. They got the stop, and then you had the penalty coming off the sack, and it was that close to being a 2-possession game. And as I mentioned going into that drive, if you're JSU, you need some separation. Had a nice drive where they moved the ball, but they came up empty on the scoreboard. Still just a 7-0 lead in a game in which they pretty thoroughly dominated thus far in this first quarter.
The debut for TC Taylor in prime time here on ABC. His first head coaching job. Spent the last 4 seasons on this Tigers staff. And 7-0 advantage as South Carolina State trying to pick up some momentum on the ground. A 5-yard gain from Howell.
And I think Buddy's been around the block a couple times. He's an offensive lineman by trade, played at South Carolina State as an offensive lineman. Most head coaches that play O-line, when things aren't going right, run the football. And they want to see what this young freshman Howell has. So I would expect to see a heavy dose of Howell.
Howell once again up that right side, and he's brought down just short of the marker. That'll bring up 3rd and short by Isaias Guthrie. Well, South Carolina State, located in Orangeburg, South Carolina. And that is a small but mighty contingency out of the Palmetto State. And you think about the dominance that it's had in HBCU football. 18 MEAC championships as we have an injured player on the field. And Junior Miller is being tended to. And let's take another look at it here on what happened.
Yeah, just coming across the line of scrimmage, a little cut block, close to being inside the tackle box, so close call, they didn't make it. Junior Miller been very active, and what's the story behind his name, Junior Miller?
Yeah, so a couple of seasons ago, we called him Coinus for most of the year. At the end of the year, he said, hey, man, I'm Coinus Miller. I said, bro, why didn't you tell us before? We would have made sure we got your name right. I know your family would have appreciated it. So now it's Junior Miller. 3rd and 1 for South Carolina State, and they pick up the first down easily. Howell, they will continue to ride him as South Carolina State with their first down of the ball game.
And this is a Good run, great vision here. Look at this jump cut here. So when they block this, they leave a man unblocked in man line of scrimmage, gets past him, and look at the jump cut through the hole to pick up the necessary yardage. Normally you see a freshman see blue jerseys around him, they panic, want to go sideways, but no, not how. Keeps his eyesight upfield, picks up the yardage.
He's impressed the coaches since camp. They hand it off to him again as Kevin McGuirk, the new offensive coordinator, one of the things that he wants to change from last year as he comes into this program, said, look, we got to get this rushing attack up. They were last in the MEAC a season ago.
And that last play you just saw right there was probably a boring play to the viewers at home, but it drives defensive coordinators crazy. First down run, up the middle, you give up 4 yards, but that 4 yards adds up. And if you can continue to stay positive ahead of the chains on first down, it makes the defense start to make some adjustments.
This drive has been all Howell first pass on this drive, and Jordan Smith collects it. And bring up third down and about 5. So McGuirk, who returns to this program after those successful years with Malcolm Long at the helm, they ran off 3 straight MEAC championships, and Buddy Pugh had to call in his old friend, say, can you do it again now? They hand it off, and right up the middle, as this time it's the other freshman, Casey Fields, very excited about this freshman class, and Casey Fields shows you why.
Yeah, and a great job of finding the backside crease to kind of knife him. Jackson State was in a run blitz defense, nobody in the middle of the field, but a great job of just getting the football by Corey Fields to hand it off to the other fields in the backfield. Fortunate for the Bulldogs to pick up the first down.
Freshman out of Beaufort, South Carolina, once again gets the run. He's got great size, pounding ahead. And his flag is out, so we will await the call after that carry. More than 2 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Jackson State with a 7-0 advantage.
Legal block below the waist, number 49 in the offense.
That's a tough call right here. I'm curious about that block below the waist. We saw earlier there was a call that was questionable. We thought Ellis got away with it. This one here comes across the formation. We said that's close, and when you're going in one direction, you can't cut them that way going the other direction. Got away with it the first time, and we kind of talked about it. That one there, obvious call. They're on to it. They have to stay high for player safety.
Pushing back 15 yards, and so now it's 1st and 25 as the line judge explaining to Coach Pugh. And the Bulldogs 33, and the carry from Jawan Howell. Howell got a lot of the carries brought down by Jeremiah Williams. And testing out, what did Buddy Pugh tell TC Taylor? Hey, we're just trying to figure out what we got. Yeah. We're just trying to see what it looks like at the start of the year.
And I think what we're seeing is JSU still has that championship caliber defense, and the offense remains kind of optional right now for South Carolina State. I want to see them get some of their playmakers involved. Justin Smith-Brown, the wide receiver. Richard Bailey, those are some go-to targets, but yet to make an impact in this game.
Fields being flushed out the pocket, keeping his eyes downfield, and nearly picked off as Solomon Rogers had a chance at it. He bounces out, and now 3rd and forever for South Carolina State.
And Jeremiah Williams, number 99 in blue, continues to be a problem on this defensive line. And for Jackson State, spying quarterbacks and then doing a good job of just reading his keys, knowing where the football is at all time. When you can get some activity from an interior defensive lineman, what a bonus it is for the defense.
Well, Jonathan Bradley, the new defensive coordinator for the Tigers, said, hey, the strength of our defense lies up front along that line. With 3 to go on the play clock, Fields with a lot of blue jerseys around that pass, incomplete to Richard Bailey. So more promise on that drive, but right now you talked about the championship defense of the Tigers from a couple of years ago, and they're carrying it into this 2023 season.
Yeah, and you see Corey Fields struggling, 2 of 9, not able to find a rhythm in this football game yet. And, you know, the coaches were all in on Corey Fields. This is his senior year. We're going to go as he goes. Well, he's not off to a good start, and neither is the South Carolina State offense.
Cobb, who has been busy in this first quarter.
Hey, good play, boy!
Sees that one roll as we take a look at tonight's Chill Performance, brought to you by Coors Light, and you got to give some love to this Jackson State offensive line.
Look at those gaping holes that you've seen right there, able to break off the blocks necessary to get to the second level when the quarterback drops back to pass, not getting hit, but they're winning the battle at the line of scrimmage. Anytime you can do that as an offensive unit up front, winning the trenches, you should be winning the football game.
We've seen Deontay Graham and Kirk Ford Jr., DeAndre Towns, Blue, Evan Henry all help get it done up front as Mulligan with a short game.
And, you know, it should come as no surprise. I mean, those people that know Jackson State football, you know, they know a little something about having offensive linemen that are pretty good. Did you see that last little graphic? Jackie Slater.
Oh, yeah, he cleared the way for Sweetness back in the day. And that one complete into the hands of Duke Miller. Oh, boy! The fumble, and South Carolina State says they come up with it, and they have. So Bulldogs, got to thank Marquise Bradley on that recovery. And the Bulldogs in their best field position to start a drive tonight. That says it right there.
And did South Carolina State desperately need that turnover?
Yes.
Defense had been on the field for a while and able to come over and punch the football away from the receiver was Adonis Davis. Oh, they needed that in the major way. And keeps going back to what I said earlier. Jackson State's playing too well to only be leading by 7. And now South Carolina State gets their best field position of this game with a fresh set of downs. And it'll be interesting to see if Corey Fields can jumpstart this offense.
Bulldogs making their 5th appearance in this MEAC-SWAC Challenge, 3-1. Their last loss coming and only one in 2017. Fields feeling pressure, gets it away. And a penalty marker in the backfield as Philip Webb was there to bring the pressure, maybe a little extra.
I wonder if this is going to be a face mask or a hold. It happened while the quarterback Fields was in the grass. And maybe he got a hold of the face mask, or was it a horse collar of some nature? But a great job winning this one-on-one battle.
We did not have a foul on the play for a horse collar.
That's not a horse collar.
The quarterback was inside the pocket when the horse collar started. We did not have a foul. Second down.
Inside the pocket or not, that's just a football play there. I mean, he didn't use his weight to go down. Glad to see the officials, by any means necessary, pick up that flag. And once again, though, that does not, erase the fact that they pressured Corey Fields again. Mm-hmm. This defensive line is bringing it to this Bulldog offensive line.
And this is a seasoned group up front that returns everybody from last year on 2nd and 10. The handoff to Howell. Howell bounces to the outside across the 40. And a strong run there as Anthony Petty comes up with the tackle. The opening quarter comes to an end as Jackson State with a 7-0 advantage as we send it down to Harry, who's standing by with Coach Taylor.
Coach, first quarter of your tenure in the books here. How would you evaluate your team's performance? And I also just saw you had your team huddled up. What'd you tell those guys?
I mean, we're allowing this football team to hang around. We got to go out there and finish drives. The offense, we had a field goal to hit, the ball hit the upright, but we got to go out here and finish drives. Our defense is playing pretty solid right now. We got to do a better job of stopping the run. They're leaning on us a little bit, but for the most part, the offense, we got to go score.
Appreciate it, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Well, T.C. Taylor doing his thing back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. During athletic conference, Jackson State with a 7-0 lead. When you look at the total yardage, they've run this thing, but now South Carolina State, an important 3rd and 3. to start here. And Corey Fields felt the pressure of Isaac Peppers, and Peppers brings him down with the sack.
You talk about being peppery right there. Isaac Peppers got to the spot. And Corey Fields, you have to make a better decision. Get rid of the football. A linebacker has a beat on you. Get rid of the football. It's still 4th and short. You can possibly go for it. But when you take the sack, 4th and 11, you force your coach's hands. Now they must punt the football away.
Peppers spicy with that one, as familiar with the SWAC played at UAPB before coming over. And a loss of 9. A couple of sacks tonight for this defense. And Cobb back to punt it away once more. Well, I tell you, it's all about the Benjamins, baby. And we're talking about Sean Diddy Combs making the pledge and cashing in on it. This was at the end of the quarter, promising $1 million during last year's BET Awards. And he's making good on that as he's standing by with our Harry Lyles.
Diddy's actually paying me. I could use a little bit more. I appreciate it. But while we're doing that, hey, I got to ask you, what was the inspiration, the motivation behind the $1 million pledge and donation?
If it wasn't for HBCUs, I wouldn't be here. And really just supporting HBCUs is not just my honor, it's my responsibility. You know, my grandmother raised me to make sure I sowed my seed in my community, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. And so what they're doing at Jackson State is to be commended. What they're doing at Howard University is to be commended. All HBCUs that are under-resourced, and I'm here to do something about it.
100%. And, you know, I can't let you go without asking about the new album, the Love album, Off the Grid. This air is great, by the way. I really appreciate it. But tell me about the album.
Yeah, guys, check this out. If you love R&B, I don't know if you love R&B, but if you do love R&B, I have a new R&B album coming out with all the top artists in the game. The Weeknd, Jasmine Sullivan, her, Summer Walker. We collaborated. It's called Love Album, Off the Grid. The Love Album, Off the Grid, September 15th. September 15th.
September 15th, guys.
I'm a little rusty. I haven't had an album out in a long time. I haven't had to really get my hustle on. When does my album come out?
September 15th.
You know the name of it.
Love Album, Off the Grid.
Yeah.
Come on now.
There we go. Oh, yeah, he's prepped.
I like that.
I'm always ready.
He's giving Harry
But I need
Lyles
some
a
more
little,
air.
little take that action.
Thank you.
We're giving the plug.
But Harry, you got to ask my man. You got to ask my man Diddy to give me a little HU, Harry. I don't get a little HU, you know.
No time for that. You know, not only did he pledge $1 million to Jackson State, but also to Howard University, where he attended and later earned an honorary doctorate degree. So Diddy showing love to historically black colleges and universities. And how about we give some love to Jason Brown and this Jackson State offense? The pass complete to Fabian McCray to move the chains.
Maybe Brown finding some rhythm, and you can tell from the style of play, you know, Brown is a pocket passer, not necessarily a guy that wants to run first, and the offensive line just stepped up to the challenge and giving him good protection all night.
J.D. Martin finding some room outside, and then finally pushed out between Martin and Mulligan, closing in on 100 yards on the ground as Jalen Evans pushed him out. So 2nd and 6 from the 41-yard line of Jackson State. Here's Martin once again, finding a little crease, and touchdown tackle there by Jalen Evans, as Evans trying to get to the speedy Martin.
Yeah, you're seeing just this Bulldog defense just miss some keys. You've got outside linebackers responsible for not allowing anything to get outside of them, where you're letting running backs get outside of you. Defensively, as a unit, the defensive line's done okay, but it's been that secondary, the linebacker core, where we've seen some poor angles taken, and Jackson State runners are able to take advantage of it.
Once again in Bulldog territory. Mulligan in the backfield, sending a man in motion is Spencer. And here's Mulligan, and Mulligan nearly bounced off of that tackle.
Yeah, guys, you know, we spoke with J.D. Martin earlier this week, and he told us he was going to be running like an angry man tonight because he is still upset about how that 2021 Celebration Bowl went. You saw it there earlier with that run.
Well, thanks so much. Harry, you think back to that 31-10 victory for South Carolina State. And in these head-to-head matchups, the MEAC has controlled these contests, but SWAC Commissioner Charles McClellan said yesterday at the reception, we're tired of that. We're tired of feeling like everybody thinks we've been pushed around. We got something to show y'all a little different this season.
Yeah, I thought he said the Southern hospitality is over, and they're going to start winning football games down here in Atlanta. And right now, JSU having their way with South Carolina State. Too easy.
Way too easy as Jinsey Riley puts on some moves and he's into the end zone. Another score for Jackson State. The junior who only had one catch last season, and this is his first of the 2023 campaign, and it's for a touchdown.
Man, just miscommunication. I mean, you cannot allow a tight end to come across the formation. Where do you think he's going to? Is he going just to go have a talk with his coach? From the alignment, he was set up, and you saw safeties in the trail position. Blown coverage, and Jackson State makes him pay for it. Easy throw. The quarterback, you love those. I throw the ball 3 yards, and I get 30-plus yards touchdown. Stats, stats, stats. Well, they got to find a way to change it up, but as a quarterback, gets no easier than this. Here, you take it, and the rest is all done by the tight end, Riley, going to the house.
Of success? Listening to what your heart says.
I do it better. Decatur wears greater. Come on now.
Well, did you say you couldn't agree more?
Yeah.
The greatest rap group of all time?
Yep.
Greatest rap group out of Atlanta, maybe.
Look, their creativity, their style, originality, the way they gave you an inside view of Southern living.
I didn't ask for a dissertation. I just said you agree.
I'm just saying.
I mean, Run DMC.
Billboard put them as the #1 rap group of all time earlier this year. Just FYI.
See, I can let Harry get away with that, right? You know, Harry's youngster, right? But, I mean, you can ask anybody. Like, let's ask Q. Let's ask Quinn. Quinn catches down on the sideline. Greatest rap group of all time. Have you even heard of Outkast?
I'm old school. I go back to the 80s when they were mixing in the South Bronx, and I was breakdancing on Long Island to Curtis Blow and Run DMC.
See, Run DMC. See, and he even went Boogie Down Productions.
Kings of hip hop.
Yes.
You have to give them their due. Pay tribute to them, okay?
Let me teach Harry a little lesson, okay? Harry, I'm going to teach you a little lesson. I know your generation, you think LeBron James is the greatest basketball player ever. But if you saw Michael Jordan, there's no debate.
Okay.
So if you know about Run DMC and the Kings of Rock, I mean, that's the greatest rap group of all time, followed by NWA.
Oh, gosh, okay. And then everybody in New York is like, wait a minute, Wu-Tang Clan, Tribe Called Quest, where you at, Jawan Howell?
So can I, before we get to this football, can I ask Harry to give me a justification for why he just disregarded the greatest rap group of all time? Is it because you're from Atlanta, Harry? Tell the truth.
I didn't disregard the greatest rap group of all time. I actually acknowledged that without the great Andre Benjamin and Big Boy, that hip-hop would not be nearly as great without those two and their artistic abilities. I mean, have you ever heard Bombs Over Baghdad, Spody Odie Dopalicious? I mean, come on now.
Love it. Now, for the record, tell everybody, where are you from? Where were you born and raised?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, okay.
I keep an objective mind. I'm a reporter now. This is my job. I'm just giving it to you straight, man. Somebody's got to.
You should ask Diddy. You should ask Diddy that question. He knows the answer to it. We'll be back.
Hey, Jamie. Nick Tiffany Green here with you after our lively discussion of the greatest rap group of all time, 50th anniversary of hip-hop. We get back underway. Short yard gain on second down. Junior Miller in on the stop. And so here on third down, what does Kevin McGurk even dial up? Because they haven't gotten much going on offense.
You know, we call this third manageable. You know, anytime you get around 7 yards in, you can make this curl flat combination, simplified. They've got the 2-by-2 formation, so you can pick out a spot there. But JSU not let up the pressure. They're giving you man-to-man coverage, meaning they're going to bring some pressure to the quarterback.
Jawan Howell with the catch out of the backfield. Couldn't get to one. Shrugs off a defender. And good enough for a first down. Good effort.
They're bringing the pressure. I mean, that's their motto. They feel like they've got a good defensive line. And from the opening series of the game, Fields has been pressured by numerous JSU defenders. barely able to get the ball off. The defensive line has been doing their job for the Tigers.
You see the numbers pretty sluggish for Corey Fields. 3 of 11, just 10 yards through the air. And there's Fields calling his own number. For more on Corey Fields, let's send it down to Q.
It looks like Corey is trying to avoid becoming frustrated. Obviously, this game's not going well for their offense, but he got on the phone, sat down, kind of chilled out, spent a lot of time during that last stoppage talking to the young running backs. And he told us yesterday, after a 3-8 season, he wants to be more vocal this year. He felt last year, after the Celebration Bowl win in 2022, subpar season, at times he did not step up and he wasn't vocal enough in the locker room, on the practice field, on game day. Seen a little more of that tonight from Corey.
Really good stuff, Q. An area where they said he has blossomed is his level of maturity as Casey Fields is stood up once more. There's Isaac Peppers to bring him down.
Good job. Run stopping right there. That linebacker position was filled by Aubrey Miller for so many years, but that's a textbook tackle. Hit him below the waist, wrap, finish it off. Isaac Peppers.
He's got some heat on those tackles, doesn't he, Isaac Peppers?
You know, he's a known commodity. Transferred in there from the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. Was a key member of that team that had success, that made it to a SWAC championship. They know he can play.
On 3rd and 4, we have the adult at quarterback. Grown man decision, throw and catch to Keyshawn Toney. When you talk about transfers, I think that was one of the big storylines for this game, especially with Jackson State coming in, having such a great turnover in roster. 59 transferred out. Look at those incoming transfers for the Tigers.
And you talk about that, but you have a lot of guys going in the football landscape. We always say they're transfers for a reason. However, he's got the #1 recruiting class in HBCU football and the #2 recruiting class in all of FCS football. So it becomes a matter of, you can keep these guys on the right page thinking together. If they've learned their lessons, then you can have a very dangerous football team.
What did T.C. Taylor tell us earlier in the week about his selection of transfers and how he vets these young men? He wants someone who is going to be a great culture fit with them. He wants to develop these young men.
And that's what you have to do. I think the key is, are they going to be, J-men, as they like to call them down here? Are they going to be guys that believe in JSU? They built this program on transfers. Coach Prime did nothing different. He had a number of transfers every year. But I think overall you owe it to him as an HBCU coach to make sure you're making better men for society and they buy in. Look at him.
Oh, my goodness. JJ coming in along with Peppers. And right now just sprinkling Peppers all over that backfield, bringing Corey Fields down. Another sack for this group in the Tigers.
Yeah, and I think what it is, it's the freshman running back goes the wrong way. So you're supposed to have a little misdirection, a little lead, but that's one of the cases where I think Howell went to the right. The play was designed to go to the left on a little read action. Freshman mistake ends up getting his quarterback hit.
Isaac Peppers, Javarian Jenkins, the 2 linebackers for JSU. Bringing down Corey Fields in the backfield. Now 3rd and 17. Their own 46-yard line. Pressure again. Unloading. He's got a man. And missing. Nigel Johnson was the target. Jaheim Hazel on the coverage. Let's look at it again.
And if he's got time to throw this ball, a little bit more arm strength, he got behind him by a good 2 to 3 yards. You have to lead him out there. That could have been a huge play for South Carolina State. But instead, Hazel was able to get back into the play. Hazel, one of those transfers they like at the cornerback position, also transferred from Wofford.
Style kick, gets it off, and takes a favorable Bulldog bounce inside the 15. Well, Jackson State, the 2-time defending SWAC champion, with a 14-0 advantage over South Carolina State.
So, yeah.
Playbook.
It all starts with Jawarn Howard in the backfield. This is the freshman here. Watch what he does. Everybody else is going to go this way. Seal the edge, seal the edge. He decides to go this way. Wrong way as a freshman. Study your playbook. You left your quarterback hanging. Tackle for loss behind the line of scrimmage. Freshman mistake cost the Bulldogs.
On the ground, and let's go back to the end of that play because we also saw just the communication again of the sixth-year player in this program. Corey Fields, like, what's up, man?
He's calling him, Jawan, come on, you got to be there, and that's tough. You know, that's the leadership that you need to see from Corey Fields. He didn't beat up on him too much, but he said, hey, you got to know what you're doing, and you made us look bad there on a play that could have had some success.
Holding teammates accountable is one of the things that coaches talked about with Corey Fields in his journey at South Carolina State. Just over 4 minutes to go in the half. Jason Brown rolling out an open man as Isaiah Spencer brought down by Aiden Weber, the transfer from Delaware State. As this season, for every field goal and extra point made by participating universities, All-State will make a contribution to the university's General Scholarship Fund. Thank you, All-State. So now 3rd and short upcoming for the Tigers. They've amassed 218 total yards in this game, more than 100 on the ground. Looked like some movement up front. A penalty flag. A free play is here. And the pass incomplete to Fabian McCray.
I mean, I'm not so sure they're not getting away with doing something to make them jump off sides.
Outside, defense, 5-yard penalty, results, first down.
Q, what are you seeing down there?
This is really frustrating for the South Carolina State sideline because I am equal to the ball, and they've got coaches saying, watch the ball, watch the ball, watch the ball. It's 3rd and 1. They're expecting to go on 2 there, and they jump. Really frustrating right now when the coaches on the bench saw that coming before it happened.
Well, Thomas Howard, the new defensive coordinator, not happy about that. The mental lapse right there. And Jason Brown once again looking downfield, down the seam, and the pass is complete to Rico Powers. First catch of the season for Powers into Bulldog territory.
He got him in the chase position. Watch how soon you see Bradley in the chase position. Head down, got to catch up to him. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. And a nicely thrown ball by Jason Brown for the big play.
And quickly moving outside to Duke Miller, who's wrapped up and swung out of bounds by Marquise Bradley. When you think about Rico Powers, who came on last year, it was a loaded wide receiver unit, but he was a guy who emerged for this Tiger group, and now he's going to be one of the go-to targets for Jason Brown.
And he's got the frame to do it. He's got the length that you like to see in a wide receiver at 6'2", 180 pounds, and you saw there the ability to get by defensive backs to make it look easy and make the big catch.
Came out of South Carolina and joined TC Taylor's program. Mulligan on the carry, patiently running and still on his feet. He's one of those guys who has a low center of gravity, tough to bring down, and he powers them into the red zone.
And on that point there, I mean, you feel like the first man's not going to bring him down. You know, unless you have a square hit on him, he's able to shift his body weight, get that forward lean, and run through tackles. As we mentioned before, transfer from Wofford, so because of that triple option experience background, used to having bodies fly around, and you really have to take him down to the ground and play through the whistle.
Better than a dozen yards per carry for Mulligan, closing in on 100 yards in this rushing attack, and this time nowhere to go. Helmet bounces off as Aiden Weber is once more in on the stop. We talk about the number of transfers for Jackson State. Compare that to just 3 for South Carolina State. Aiden Weber is one who's ready to make an impact. Well, coming up on the All-State Halftime Report, live coverage of both bands, South Carolina State's Marching 101 and the Sonic Boom of the South for Jackson State. Log on to the ESPN app to see both bands' entire halftime performance. A timeout taken on the field. We will step aside as well with 1:13 remaining to go in the first half from Hotlanta. Kickoff. I can't wait to hear them chime in because Q always brings a really cool perspective. I like his musical taste as picked up, and here we go, Rico Powers. He's so fast, but let's slow it down and send it down to the field. Q, what'd you think?
I'll do 20 football games this fall, and nothing will top the Sonic Boom of the South. In fact, I was taping it with my phone that I sent to my mom because she's a huge band fan. When they did Disco Inferno, man, that was off the charts. There's nobody bigger, nobody more brassy. I don't care. You can name a school in the SEC, the Big Ten, the Pac-12, the Big 12. Nobody can touch the Sonic Boom of the South.
You are well-traveled, Q, so really love your insights. And then, Harry, what do you think?
Also agree, the Sonic Boom of the South, you can't beat that. I will tell you this, though. My attention was captured by the South Carolina State Band. Actually, they came out here in front of the Jackson State crowd, and the Jackson State crowd let them have it. They had a lot of boos. I was right here for it. I don't know if it sounded really loud up there, guys, but it was definitely loud down here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And also credit the Marching 101 for being in full band uniform. It feels like 97 degrees or better. I think the guys on the field could tell us it's probably hotter than that.
So I want to get verification. So Q, you're saying that the Sonic Boom of the South won, and Harry, you're saying that the Sonic Boom of the South won as well?
Yes, and the Jackson State fans.
See, these rookies, Tiff, they don't know how much slack they're going to get.
You don't know how fast this Rico Powers kid is, the redshirt junior out of Savannah, as we send it back down to Quinn.
Right into your living rooms. Rico almost ran me over on that play. I'll tell you one thing. Jackson State's band, they didn't wear the uniforms because of the health advisories. 98 degrees when this game started. But they come out in the full warm-up suit, and they're dripping sweat. Dripping sweat with the spats. But they're in shape. Let me tell you one thing, Tiff. I didn't see any wobbling of any of the band members. They are in shape and used to the heat.
Oh, yeah, they get it in the conditioning. We talk about the student athlete like a Rico Powers who puts in work for conditioning, but you can't forget about the band members who train just as hard in the sun, 2-a-days. They gear up for the season just like an athlete does. On 2nd and 6, and there's the pressure brought down by Patrick Godbolt, and they need to see more of that from their graduate out of Blythewood, South Carolina.
Yeah, that's what they need. They need to pressure the quarterback. We know that Brown's a pocket passer. Win your one-on-one matchups there. Good job going underneath Cameron James. Got the pad level down. Able to come up with a huge play for this defense.
A number of preseason selections for this South Carolina State group led by Patrick Godbolt, a quiet kid, as Jason Brown rolls to his left on 3rd and 13, finds this man just a couple yards short of the first down marker, and that'll bring up 4th down after that Isaiah Spencer catch.
Go for it.
So you say yes. Well, you've got a 17-point lead. You've had your way so far tonight, and you only have to pick up 2 yards.
Defense is playing well, and I like what I'm seeing out of T.C. Taylor. He's not doing this out of inexperience. Most young coaches are so anxious to put points on the board, but the game is dictating right now, hey, you go for it. You're up by 17 points. What's the difference between 17 and 20? 3? With 3 touchdowns, take that out the equation, then you're okay.
Oh, man, all that great math you learned at Howard University on 4th and 2. Jay Walker, around 16 of 18, has a man wide open in the end zone. Finds another tight end. This time it's DJ Stevens. 21-yard completion. And you got to say, so far, Jason Brown looks mighty comfortable running this offense.
Absolutely. Great job. 2-level throw. First read in front of you. That's covered. Get your head up to the 2nd level, and you see your open receiver for the touchdown. DJ Stevens doing a great job of finding the open space.
15 straight completions for Jason Brown, 24-0 lead. And now here's a special look at the new Star Wars original series, Ashoka. Some phenomenal players to come out of South Carolina State, known for their defense. Buddy Pugh in his 22nd season, I'm not sure if he's seen his defense come out as weak as they have here tonight.
Yeah, that's one of the ones. You look at that list, one thing that goes with South Carolina State, synonymous with defense. I mean, when I played against the Bulldogs, they would blow a coverage just to hit you. But there would be a price to be paid. But here, they're blowing coverages where it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And let me give an example of what I'm talking about. 4th down, you've got a key. You're going to see right here, you're the deepest man in the backfield. That means nobody gets by you. Where's your eye discipline? What are you doing? You're the deepest man. Nobody gets behind you. Untouched into the end zone. Jamari Benjamin's got a lot of experience, but you got to wonder, and how many times have we seen them make those type of plays tonight? Can't win like that.
All the touchdowns tonight for Jackson State have come on 3rd and 4th downs, Jay.
We call that the money down on offense. It's got to be the money down, get off the field down on defense.
Pushing the pile forward, wrapped up as we send it down to Harry.
As I caught TC Taylor coming out of the tunnel at the half, and I asked him what he thought about Jason Brown, and he was like, look, man, he's given us everything we want right now. He's got control of the offense. He's comfortable. He's making the guys around him comfortable. And as he was finishing that up, he started smiling. I was like, you having a good time, Coach? He said, man, I'm having a great time.
A guy who has paid his dues, former wide receiver and quarterback at Jackson State, now the head coach in his first game at the helm. But on the other side, Buddy Pugh got to figure some things out. Q had a chance to talk to him coming out of the locker room.
I walked with Coach in the locker room. He was very frank. He said, we're having game 1 issues. Our freshman running backs have shown really nice glimpses, but they've also missed assignments. Offensive line completely subpar. So the key right now is to stick together. It ain't always going to be easy.
Pugh, a former All-MEAC offensive lineman, needs to see more from his group in the second half. 4 for 10 on 3rd down conversions, and they're a good sign as the pass complete to Jordan Smith to move the chains.
And I think what's disappointing is they haven't established an identity yet. You know, normally you say, hey, we're throwing the football well, Fields is going to be our guy, or we're running the ball very well, we got to balance it, but the running game hasn't been there, passing game hasn't been there. They need to step up and get a solid drive, put some points on the board, and see what they can build upon.
Corey Fields going to the outside, man coverage, Jordan Smith, and you saw their little tugging of the jersey. And the penalty will go against Jaheim Hazel and the Tigers.
And there's going to be a penalty on Jack State, but remember when I was talking to the coaches, the offensive coaches, about Corey Fields' throwing motion, I said what he needs to learn to do is put a little bit more arch underneath the ball. He's kind of a line drive thrower, and that throw right there was one when you throw with that much velocity.
Pass interference, defense, number 6, 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
If it's not a perfect pass, you're not going to get the catch. He was fortunate it was pass interference on this one, but down the field, somebody run up the sidelines, give me some arc. Put some air underneath the ball so he can run underneath it. This ball here, if it's not thrown perfectly, that's going to be an incomplete pass, was really bailed out by that pass interference. Learn to get those shoulders up so the wide receiver can run underneath the throw.
Now they move into Tiger territory, ball at the 46-yard line. They hand it off to the freshman Casey Fields, but they'll get good pickup on 1st down. Going back to what Kevin McGuirk said, the new offensive coordinator, he said, hey, I really like Corey Fields' throwing motion. The areas where we worked with him this camp and in the offseason, hey, improving the footwork in addition to trying to put some more touch on the ball.
Yeah, they'll always say footwork. You know, normally when a quarterback has poor footwork, it's because he's indecisive, doesn't know where he's going with the football. So you always have to work on your footwork in the pocket. But certain things where you would think you have to learn to be a passer, not a thrower.
And not on the same page there with Khalil Ellis. Let's take a look at the team schedule brought to you by Disney on the Yard and the upcoming schedule that we will see for drum major Mickey and his crew as Jackson State. We see them the first 3 weeks We'll see him next weekend down in Miami Gardens.
How many times can I circle all that? I want to circle the date. Can I go back and do it again? That one is big.
Oh, yeah. Well, that has been the deciding game for who wins the SWAC East, and it's belonged to the Jackson State Tigers the last 2 seasons. The pressure felt by Corey Fields, able to get it away, nearly completed the pass to Keyshawn Toney. Instead, it's now for them.
And what do you think Willie Simmons and the Rattlers are thinking right now watching this Jackson State game?
Well, I think they have to find a way to deal with this pressure from Jackson State. The defense has just brought it all game long. And you think about, too, what's interesting is the predicted order of finish in the SWAC. The 2-time defending SWAC champs coming in number 2 behind the heavily favored Florida A&M Rattlers.
That I don't understand. I mean, last time I checked, Jackson State hadn't lost to Florida A&M in 2 years, including beating them by 40+ last year. So that's a little bit of bulletin board material for Jackson State. But we know old Slick Willie down there got them Rattlers ready. It's going to be a showdown next week in Miami, but we still got more to go here in the A.
Hey, and one more.
I think we got it.
Yeah, let's focus on
60th anniversary upcoming of the I Have a Dream speech. It means so much as we're here in Atlanta, the home and birthplace of Dr. King, and thinking about all that he has meant to America, and we're still trying to see that dream realized for all Americans, especially African Americans in this country.
And I think, Atlanta not only emerged as the capital of HBCU football with the importance of this game, the Cricket Celebration Bowl, but the history of it, the civil rights. I had a great lunch today at Pascal's Restaurant, which is legendary, full, and all the history, talk about the AUC, all the HBCUs that have made a difference in the world from this city down south.
Immediately contact made, but Duke Miller holds on to the ball. Dr. King, a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, the first of the Divine Nine to be founded back at Cornell University in 1906. 5 fraternities, 4 sororities, many of them founded at Howard University in Washington, D.C.
I was wondering, I was going to say, can you say it so I don't have to? Could you state the obvious on that screen?
We got 3 members of the crew from HU. I hope you don't do the U now. All right, Jason Brown, 1st and 10, searching, and pass complete once more. He puts the ball on the money. Rico Powers with another catch tonight. He's been targeted 4 times tonight. And 95 yards in receiving yards for Rico Powers.
And great job of keeping his vision down the field, able to get to his 2nd, 3rd, sometimes 4th read, picking him apart.
Oh my goodness, and right now, you talk about picking him apart. The Tigers dicing their way into the end zone once more, 44 yards after that catch and run from Andre Hunt.
Too easy. He's beating them with the reading of the coverage. Now he's beating them with the pre-snap read, making the right decisions on where to go with the football. And when you're not getting hit, it's pretty easy to have nights like this. But 20 straight completions is remarkable for this young man here on a huge stage.
Jason Brown has been unbelievable tonight. Hello, America. We'd like to introduce you to Jason Brown. This fella, they like to say, after a night like this, he ate, finishing it off. Hunt, yeah. I don't know. I just do what I do.
Hey, Jamie.
Oh, what am I up to? Just visiting a special secret client. I can't say who it is, but let's just say she bundled her dream house and her dream car for around-the-clock protection.
Here from Atlanta, Georgia, and if you are a Jackson State fan, you have to love what you have seen through 2.5 quarters, a 31-0 lead for the two-time defending SWAC champions, making their third appearance in this kickoff challenge, searching for their first win. And I'll tell you, Tiger fans, they lead FCS in attendance every year. Are they going to continue to show up if their team continues to show out like they have so far?
Dominating performance here by the two-time defending SWAC champions.
Now let's go to the studio and check in with Kevin Connors.
All right, Tiffany, and time now for our Disney on the Yard studio update. Reigning Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams looking to make it 2 in 2 years. Look at the ability to improvise here. 76 yards to Taj Washington. It's only a 7-point game. My question to Jay, who are some Walter Payton Award nominees?
Oh, Walter Payton Award nominees, Davius Richard, the quarterback from North Carolina Central, I think would be one of the obvious ones. And then you talk about, running backs are always going to be the key. They lost a lot. South Dakota State's quarterback is coming back, so they're the defending champions. But interesting race there. There's a huge watch list for it. Appreciate that, Kev.
Corey Fields into the hands of Tim Stewart, the hard hitter from Jackson State, and nothing going the way for South Carolina State and these Bulldogs. And the extra celebration at the end, going into the end zone. But let's look at this throw here again, and Corey Fields not on tonight.
He's dropping curl flat, and even if you don't see him, the ball was so underthrown. He does not put a lot of touch on his throws, and by doing so, you allow a linebacker that's going curl flat to get the interception.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct on Jackson State's defense. That 15-yard penalty. First down, Jackson State. 1st and 10.
Now, if you're going to look at areas to nitpick, TC Taylor is going to say, hey, we got to clean that up. We got to make sure we're wiser about that. But when you're up 31-0, sometimes it gets to you a little bit because, again, there was some get back that was desired from Jackson State after falling at the hands of MEAC schools 2 years in a row. Zy McDonald, the new quarterback in for Jackson State.
For us, I know we talk about, it's a little payback. To be honest, you get another opportunity at a South Carolina State team that, kicked our butts on TV a couple years ago. I mean, they really came out and, like I said earlier, hit us in the mouth. So, once this game was announced, Mr. Grant announced this game and said that we was going to be in this football game, man. And, we had guys licking their chops.
Indeed, a 31-10 loss back in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Ball comes out after Zion McDonald was down. But think about the James Brown big payback and answering the call, finding a way to motivate his guys, getting them ready for the first game of the season on national television. And they said, okay, we'll show you.
Yeah. This is what you're talking about here. He's letting them know we've got good things going, but they're not going to allow that stuff here. And, this is the intensity. He knows what it's like to be a star at Jackson State University, so he knows what the emotions are like, and he's telling you just can't do that. They had great position, field position after that interception, and they gave it all back with the celebration. Learning moment for Tim Stewart. See, this is what I don't like. Your coach just got on. You made a great play, and you smile. Did you learn the lesson, or did you not?
On 2nd and 4, Jason Brown, who has had an outstanding night tonight as the Tigers have amassed 447 total yards tonight, 333 through the air because of accurate completions like that as Duke Miller comes up with the catch. Well, Jay, you know a little something about the way quarterbacks roll, because used to be a great one back at Howard University, winning a Black College National Championship. You were due.
Black College Player of the Year, Sports Illustrated 1AA Player of the Year, draft pick to the New England Patriots.
You just couldn't take, the compliment. You just had to just pile it on.
Because you've had a lot of people play quarterback at different schools, but you haven't had a lot of National Black College Player of the Year.
Nice. As for a dissertation, Jay Walker. Ain't no dissertation, bro.
And impressively, what you're seeing right now is, since you showed my picture, I know what it's like to be in that zone. And when you're in the zone like this, you know what you're telling the coach. You're looking over to the sideline. I don't care what you call, coach. I'm going to make it work. And that's what we're seeing Brown do right now. Whatever play you call, I'm going to make it work. And that could have been another touchdown throw on a drop ball, ends 22 straight completions. Wow.
Offside. Defense, number 34. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
That goes against Jablonski Green, the big guy along that D-line. But Buddy Pugh, not the way he wants to start off his farewell tour. Just nothing in sync about South Carolina State here tonight. Second and goal from the 5. And Jason Brown doesn't like what he sees. 5 seconds remaining on the play clock and decides to spend a timeout. Here, this is the tale of the tape. This is the story of the night. If you were wondering about Jackson State and what they were going to produce this season, well, first game out the gate, they're matching a lot of what we saw a season ago.
And then, you give them 6 more yards, which they're trying to get on this drive, and they'll have the points. They'll have the 38 points in this game here. So things are really good right now. They're rolling. A lot of questions, I think, have been answered, and a lot of hoopla about T.C. Taylor getting this job, and I don't think there's anybody prouder than Athletic Director, Vice President of Athletics, Ashley Robinson, making the choice to stay within the program and hire the alum, and gets an opportunity to stick out his chest right now and act like he made the right decision.
He said Jackson State is home. The Mississippi native has spent
timeout.
Blood,
South
sweat,
Carolina
and tears
State
with this program as a player.
Timeout and a half.
And as an assistant on staff, and now he gets to do it as the head coach. The disappointment on the other side for the Bulldogs. Well, let's see who's bringing the flavor tonight. Brought to you by McDonald's. Oh, yeah. When I see that tailgating season in effect, good times. Let me tell you, the tailgate was on swole coming up to Center Park Stadium because the fans were ready to get it in, just like the bands did at halftime. And the I Love represented well in the stands as Jason Brown tries to needle it in there. And the pass broken up by Jayon Allen.
And this event has really turned into, a showdown. A showdown since the game's been moved to Atlanta. The SWAC has won 2 games, the MEAC has won 2, and the SWAC has an opportunity to take a lead with the victory here tonight.
The attendance was announced, 24,238. The executive director of this game, John Grant, said, hey, look, we got a sold-out affair. And given the seats that are available, we're at capacity. Flag comes out.
Play game. Offense, number 4. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
But we referenced before the advantage that the MEAC has had in this challenge. 11-5. Buddy Pugh has won 3 of the 4 that he's participated in. Remember, you go back to 2005 when it all started. He was the one to kick things off in this classic, beating Alabama State 27-14 when it was originally held in Birmingham, Alabama. Cleveland McCoy was the quarterback back then. Looking, Jason Brown on 3rd and goal, and good play. Once more broken up by Allen, the redshirt freshman out of Bluffton, South Carolina.
And that's taking your chances. One of the few play selections I don't know if I necessarily agree with from new offensive coordinator Maurice Harris. Running out routes on the goal line, not necessarily what you want to do. Out routes one when there's a threat of a deep ball. If you get them too close to the end zone, where is the defensive back going to drop back to? He's looking to make a break. Fortunate that ball wasn't intercepted. But it also shows you the confidence he has in his quarterback to make that cross-field throw.
Florida Beza, the 27-yard attempt is good as we send it to the studio and Kevin.
All right, Tiffany, week 0, and we've got some tightly contested games for your alternate viewing pleasure. UMass New Mexico State over on ESPN. The Minutemen trying to end the longest active road losing streak in the FBS at 24 consecutive games. High school football right now over on ESPN2. And Vanderbilt, a 21-7 lead on Hawaii, a game that was delayed by weather early on in Nashville. Great football around the country on the ESPN family of networks, Tiffany.
Thanks so much, Kevin, and the good times will continue to roll not only this weekend, but as we head into week 1 of the college football season. Number of key matchups, big question marks.
Vanderbilt up ahead. The Commodores kind of finished a little bit stronger at the end of the season than people thought, and trying to keep it going this 2023 campaign.
Walker, before you came into the game, did you see it going this way?
No, but it also, at the same time, it's answered a lot of questions that I had in my mind. If you think back to South Carolina State, last time we saw them, they were defeating North Carolina Central last season to grab command of that, and then the wheels fell off. They lost 8 straight games, and I think now we're seeing why they lost 8 straight games.
Well, here's our first Thursday night game of the college football season. Number 14, Utah, the reigning Pac-12 champions, will take on Florida Thursday at 8 Eastern on ESPN and the app. Florida with a new quarterback with Anthony Richardson, the starter for the Colts. Talking about new quarterbacks, there's one in for South Carolina State, making the change with redshirt freshman Andre Washington, now under center. Juwan Howell still on his feet. A strong run as it's a bit of a ball of confusion so far going into this season, Jay, and I know you can elaborate a little bit more on that, Q.
That's what the world is today. Ball of confusion by the Temptations. People moving out, people moving in. Transfer portal, name, image, and likeness, conference realignment, coaching carousel, fear is in the air, tension everywhere. And the band played on. Welcome to the Ball of Confusion College Football 2023.
And that's what makes working with this crew so special, Jay. I mean...
And the band played on. That's definitely true of the games we see. Tonight, nothing else, Marching 101 is going to play. And the sonic boom of the South is going to rub it in, and they're going to keep playing like it's a close ball game.
There's so much that has changed in the college football landscape since even you were a player, Jay. And I know another one of those major storylines that many had was Coach Prime. After leaving Jackson State, going to Colorado, what this first season is going to look like for his squad out in Boulder. And on the run is Andre Washington across midfield. That's what he's known for, a running QB, big frame, and positive yardage on there as it moves the chains.
Coming in, they said if we see Washington in the game, we've got a quarterback run package for him while he develops and starts to know the passing game a little bit more. So you have to know that as your scout report. Watch the QB run game, watch the reads. Don't crash down on the running back because he's not afraid to pull it and call his own number.
Fields in motion, and they once again call 7 and white, and not much room to run. So I'm going to pose that question to you, Jay. How many games does Coach Prime win? It's a tough schedule to start out. 3 of the first 5 opponents are ranked in the top 20.
You know, I'll say this. The football background of me looking at the schedule says if he wins 4 games, he did a good job. But we saw him. I mean, you know, certain points you start to believe. And if he can rebound after what happens at TCU, you don't know. That'll be a measurement game. But we've seen this team win some games. We never thought he'd go undefeated 2 years straight in SWAC play, considering how it started. So, you know, you ask me, do I believe? I became a believer. But my football intellect won't allow me to say more than 4 games. Tiff?
Well, anything that he does this season above 1 win will be a win, given the fact that that's all they amassed last year. And here, Josh Shaw on the carry, another running back in the backfield. But, Quint, I know you were there for the spring game, so you can provide some greater insight as well.
What a day that was. I mean, what a day. The energy in that building, it had like 40,000 fans, Chris Fowler, RG3, myself, and man, the Dion effect, the Prime effect, it's there. I love their skill. Their wide receivers, their running backs, their quarterbacks. But I think the O-line, D-line, even with all the transfers, I don't know what, the 80 guys, the 80 new faces, I think they're going to be able to score, but I think they're going to give up points. They're going to play super fast. It's going to be fun to watch.
And that one nearly picked off as Callaghan got a hand on that one. Yeah, the experiment. Many asked the question, well, just how well did things work out, and was the experiment a success here after spending 3 seasons at Jackson State?
If you ask me, I say yeah. You know, when we talk to the president, I mean, keep in mind, they just installed lights on their practice field last week. I mean, that was because of Coach Prime being there, so they still have some lasting effects. TC Taylor was on SportsCenter last night as the new head coach of Jackson State. And that's that Coach Prime effect. I think the bigger question is, will there be a step down? And I think what people need to know is Jackson State was a blue blood HBCU program before Coach Prime got there. And they're trying to tell you now they're here to stay. They're going to be here for the long haul. The resurgence of the I Love is real, and they're off to a great start right now.
Hot brand, got even hotter. They own social media. They were so active. You credit the AD for the growth in facilities and seeing the vision for now bringing on a Tiger as the 22nd head coach.
That is the end of the 3rd quarter.
Well, I'll say this. TC Taylor said, me and Coach Prime have this in common. We both became first-time head coaches at Jackson State, had a lot to prove, have a lot to prove, and what they've seen so far, 34-0, they have controlled South Carolina State. Let's send it down to the field with Buddy Pugh on the other side.
Coach, I know the scoreboard is not in your favor, but there's got to be some positives. A good coach is always looking for positives. What would they be?
Well, at this point, we got these young kids in there. We're trying to see what we can get going with them. So down the road a piece, we'll get this football team straightened out. And at this point, we just got to give everybody that we got a possible chance to see what we do have.
Thank you, Coach.
We'll be back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. Up here on ABC, number 5 LSU and Jaden Daniels trying to lead the Tigers against number 8 Florida State in Camping World. Kickoff game in Orlando. Coverage begins at 7:30. Think about Daniels on one side, Jordan Travis on the other for the Seminoles, and that's going to be quite the intrigue of a football game Labor Day weekend.
Big 4th down here for South Carolina State. As they try to get some points on the board, don't question them going for it. I like what Coach Pugh said. Time to see what the youngsters can do. Andre Washington in at quarterback. You've got Fields in the backfield. We've seen Howell in the backfield.
Time run off the clock. Washington with time. The look well overthrows his intended target, and a turnover on downs. It's just been that type of night for South Carolina State. 116 yards total for this group. Buddy Pugh's squad picked to finish third in the MEAC preseason poll. And he said, well, that was favorable. On the other side, you think about Florida A&M with their preseason offensive player of the year, Jeremy Musa.
Now, people are going to say I'm hating when I do this, Tiff. You know that.
Okay.
But, you know, I question why they're picked first.
I think it speaks to just the change in players, the number of players leaving, the mass exodus, and then again, the retooling now under first-year head coach T.C. Taylor. And T.C. says, look, we use all of it as motivation, right? So, okay, yeah, we feel disrespected. Okay, we'll try to finish it out every Saturday and show you why we are the two-time defending champs in the conference. Deep ball, just short for Duke Miller. But let's go back to those storylines, Jay, because when you think about what Florida A&M has to offer, what they're returning, there's a lot of anticipation in Tallahassee.
And I do get it. You know, a lot of times that you pick the teams about who has the best quarterback play, and Jeremy Musa, I think rightfully so, is, you know, offensive player of the year for that conference. He can do it. So that's why people believe that. But we've seen a candidate emerge. And how about Sundiata Anderson? Talk about an NFL prospect. Long, 6'6", defensive end, can move.
Good play, thrown up. But you think about Isaiah Land, the Buck Buchanan Award winner, now with the Dallas Cowboys, a chance to make... yes, they lose a big gun and an edge rusher like him, but they've got guys like Javen Morgan. And when you look down that preseason all-SWAC list, there's a lot of Rattlers on there.
Defense, number 88, 5-yard penalty, still third down.
And not as many Tigers. And when you asked T.C. Taylor at Media Day about that and how he felt, what did he tell you?
Well, he kind of had that smirk like, we lost some guys, but we got some guys coming in. And, you know, you talk about one of the unknowns that becomes a known is Brown. You know, Jason Brown, the quarterback. You see what we're seeing from him. He knew that the cupboard wasn't bare. I'm going to tell you, with this performance, what we're seeing is that he continue to push the ball down the field. I mean, we knew next week's game was going to be big, period. But, oh, man, I get to call a game with some great quarterback play. Get your telestrator ready.
Again, that game was decided who wins the SWAC East, as Jackson State went undefeated in the SWAC for 2 straight years. Florida A&M got rolling and didn't lose a game in the Southwestern Athletic Conference after that Labor Day matchup. You got to think about Southern, though, out of the West, as they made it to the SWAC championship game under Eric Dooley. And still on his feet is J.D. Martin, so tough to bring down. Finally, Michael Brunson is successful.
And then, you know, when you talk about it again, why did T.C. Taylor feel so comfortable? It's like, okay, we're not going to worry about it. When you've got the #1 recruiting class in all of HBCU football, the #2 recruiting class overall in FCS football, you have the right to be confident. And at the end of the day, great coaches normally win whoever has the best horses. You know, normally you got the fastest horse, you should win the race. And we've seen that.
In your opinion, in the SWAC, who's the dark horse to come out of the conference?
Oh, Texas Southern. Texas Southern over there, they came on strong into the season over in the western part of the conference there. Andrew Body's coming back to quarterback. Clarence McKinney has gone through his lumps, and they can score some points. Now, if they can get some defense, they could be a dark horse out there in the SWAC West.
Well, it is steaming on on the field. It is incredibly hot. Yeah, we mentioned in the upper 90s. Not as much breeze as would have been liked as Weber was shaken up on that last play. Jason Brown with nowhere to go as we bring up the favorite portion of the broadcast for our friend Jay Walker. And your what?
Jays, give me 5. And how about this? You know, we're here in Atlanta, home of the AUC. So how about some AUC legends? Starting off with number 5, representing Clark Atlanta University, Kenyon Barris, creator of Blackish, Grownish, and the Ish series there at number 5. Coming at number 4, hey, Spike Lee. He's a Morehouse man. Got it all started with School Days back in the day, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Oh. There's so many things I want to quote from that movie. But I won't. As the flag comes out on the plate.
Let's keep it going. Coming in at number 3 for the AUC Legends. How about Rudy Huxtable? Keisha Knight-Polo, no one disrespect the grown woman there, went to Spelman. She's a Spelmanite. At number 2, how about the legend, Edwin Moses, arguably the greatest track and field hurdler of U.S. history in the world. And at number 1, come on, that's the easiest.
Well,
Dr. King, yeah. Dr. Martin Luther the King Jr.
Yeah.
Went to Morehouse, but here's what you're going to love. My favorite on the bubble, not quite making it, is something called, it's an AUC legend called the Freaknik. Piedmont Park, late 80s, mid 90s. If you don't know, you better ask somebody.
Well before social media. However, there's been some documentation, and an upcoming documentary is supposed to be released next spring.
I'm not worried about it. Some others are.
Freaknik, yeah. I'm just going to leave that right there. I think it's just safe to do that.
And like we always do, it's called Jay's Give Me 5. Right. But we've established something called Tiff's 2 cents. Give me your 2 cents.
Okay, I'm going to give you a Spelmanite and Stacey Abrams here in the city of Atlanta. And then Hosea Williams out of Morris Brown College back up and running, a trusted voice and advisor alongside Dr. King, a civil rights activist.
Okay.
There's so many great people that have come through the AUC, and when you go back and think back to just Atlanta and being the Mecca in many ways.
We left some off. I mean,
we
that
did.
was a tough list because, you know, I wanted to put, you know, Samuel Jackson on there. How did Samuel Jackson not make a list? But, you know, I had to diversify it there.
Well, you can run this list off for days, Jay.
J.D. Washington. John David Washington, Denzel's son.
Yeah.
He's an AUC legend because he's a great actor now, but he also played football at Morehouse before getting a cup of coffee in the NFL.
Well, I'm going to hit you with Thomas Howard, the defensive coordinator for South Carolina State. He's a Morehouse man. And he and his defensive unit have to figure out some things the rest of the way because it has not been the type of night that they would have wanted. Here's our first Thursday night game of the college football season, reminding you that Utah and Florida will be in action Thursday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN and the app.
Curious if you think young Harry, the Atlanta native, knew about my AUC list, legends list?
Well, you knew about your number 1 because everybody should know about it. I think Spike Lee is so closely associated with Morehouse. I'd say so. I mean, if you're in the A, you're like repping all the time. You're proud of everybody who's come through, past and present.
And he probably wasn't even born when Freaknik was going on. So
you keep wanting to bring that up. What? Irv Mulligan passed the century mark, 105 yards on the ground, 12 carries on the night, and that touchdown to springboard this Tigers offensive onslaught here in this kickoff challenge. 3rd and 4, Brown still in the game at quarterback. Up big. movement up front. Big play and broken up.
So the reason why I think everybody's like so disappointed, look at this roster of current defensive players, mostly defensive except for Alex Taylor, that are in the National Football League from South Carolina State. You know, Shaq Leonard, formerly Darius Leonard, Coach Javon Hargrave, two of the highest paid guys at their position in the National Football League. I mean, this is a school that produces the talent. Shaq Davis is the newest wide receiver who became a legend in Orangeburg. So I would say no other HBCU has bred more NFL players in recent years than South Carolina State.
And give Jacoby Durant his due in that
Outside.
cricket celebration bowl.
5-yard penalty.
He was the defensive player, or rather
Results in a first
MVP of that game now with the LA Rams, and he was the MEAC Defensive Player of the Year as well.
And ended up becoming the starting nickel for the Rams last season. So
Correction. We are short.
Making the most of the opportunity. And that's why, you know, when you listen to a guy like Coach Pugh, and he says, we have a couple guys on this roster that could be next. You'll have to listen and pay attention to them.
3rd and 1. The handoff and picks up the first down. It's going to be 1st and goal.
Fumble.
Oh, fumble. And they're going to say Mulligan was down before the ball popped loose.
Curious about that. Because
everything's reviewable.
Yeah,
College football, so it can come from the
I thought I saw a second surge trying to get extra yards like so many young runners do. So he's got a firm grip on that ball. Down.
Yeah.
Okay. They got it right, but lesson learned from Mulligan. Hold on that football tight to get that close to the red zone. That extra half yard's not worth it so many times.
Mulligan has made a statement here tonight, taking over. You think about that position was filled by Savion Wilkerson from a season ago. A big back for the Tigers. He's a punisher on the ground. 11th play of this drive and nearly brought in by Isaiah Spencer. It's going to be 2nd and goal. Let's take a look at our game track brought to you by Cricket.
Did not say anything. 116 yards total offense. Not going to get it done in the game of this. And you knew JSU was going to score points. The offense just did not show up.
500 plus yards in total. And they had, what, 2-something going into the locker room.
278.
278, yeah. So surpassing their season average from a season ago of 446, and if they're able to punch it into the end zone, this is delivering the smackdown that they wanted to after that Celebration Bowl loss a couple of years ago. And when we talked to Buddy Pugh, hey, look, Quint Kesnick got him coming out of the locker room, kind enough to grant us that interview, trailing 34-0. Class act that he did there.
Absolutely.
He says, we're getting this opportunity and using this time as evaluation to check out our young guys. Brown. Again, the play call there, 3rd and goal, and a couple of Bulldog players down on the field as a penalty marker is out as well. You see Patrick Godbold, number 43 in white, and Zan Dunham, the Sam linebacker, slow to get up, and Dunham still down on the ground. 6:35 remaining, and this one.
Personal foul.
Come back with us.
Number
to
68.
Atlanta.
15 yards.
If you smoked, get scanned. Talk to your doctor.
7:30 Eastern. Game day crew is going to be there as well to kick off the season right. Also, 15-yard personal foul penalty. It's them back, 3rd and goal. And they run it. Ezekiel Johnson, the ball carrier for the first time tonight.
Say game day is going to be at that game, right? A bunch of NFL scouts going to be at that game. You know why? Drake. I'm not talking about the rapper Tip. Drake May.
Drake.
You know,
Sure you're not talking about
Drizzy? I'll be tuned into that one to see what's going on. You know, I'm a big fan of quarterback play, and you know, between Caleb and Drake, those seem to be the names you hear the most.
Big names, big stars, big time to shine this season. 38-yard field goal is good. 37-0 Jackson State. Not the way Buddy Pugh wanted to see his South Carolina State Bulldogs come out. We'll hear from him. Come back.
Meet Grammarly Go, your go-to solution for getting quality work done quickly.
Ready for the big picture today, Remy? Oh, yeah.
And ensuring peak productivity when you need it the most. Grammarly Go brings AI to every text box, helping you create thoughtful writing in a fraction of the time. You can instantly make emails, allowing you to unlock your best writing faster, so you can win at work and in life. Download Grammarly Go today. You'll be amazed at what you can do. Best writing faster, so you can win at work and in life. Download Grammarly Go today. You'll be amazed at what you can do.
Do it big. With the Pizza Hut big. Do it big. With the Pizza Hut big dinner box. However you want a dinner, we got
some Braves tickets because I'm a big baseball fan. So I want to go see some ball. I want to go see some of my friends. I want to go to some of those places that I've got friends coaching ball around the country and see them play. So it's a whole bunch of things that I think I like to do. And the first thing I want to do is just kind of take a break for a little bit.
That's when we asked two-time South Carolina State graduate Buddy Pugh about what he wanted to do in retirement. I know he wants to kick his feet back and try to figure some things out about this South Carolina State team as they move through this 2023 season.
Okay, again, this is a status bar. This is a
joke here is like my homegirl and I were talking like, is every street in Atlanta named Peachtree? Like have Peachtree in it?
It's been like that for a while. I remember coming down, people say, oh, off of Peachtree. Which one?
Right.
Like, oh, I didn't know. I thought there was only one Peachtree, but it's Peachtree everywhere around here. And Harry, you're from here. I thought you would have had a better answer than just giving me all the different variations of Peachtree Street down here.
I mean, if you want my answer is so it keeps more people from moving here. We got too many people coming to Atlanta, man. Y'all need to stay out of my city.
Child, Harry, let me just tell you about that traffic. That traffic
No
just
joke.
totally negates that point of like, because everybody loves to come to Atlanta. The Peach State is popping.
It is.
Capital City. Yeah, how many times have you gotten lost on your route or late to something because you were on the wrong Peachtree?
You know, it's really not that many times. However, the thing that you do kind of have to do is worry about road closures and things like that. So it's more about all of our famous potholes out here too, unfortunately, than a Peachtree Circle or a Peachtree Street.
Now, Harry, I know you know what you're talking about. Atlanta native, Georgia State grad, and then you grew up in this stadium. This used to be Turner Field. And
It
you
did.
grew up here. Oh, look at little baby Harry.
Look at that young
okay,
man.
for the 96 Olympics.
Hey, I tell you what, the one connection that young man's got, me at 4 years old there at Centennial Olympic Stadium at the 96 Olympics, and the one tonight, I was complaining about the heat that day. I'll tell you that.
Man. Do you know what happened? You know what I remember from the 96 Olympics?
What's that?
Ali. Muhammad Ali
100%.
lighting the torch.
Yes.
That would almost put a tear in your eye there.
Legendary.
That was one of the best opening ceremonies I've seen for that moment right there.
Hands down, great time. And it helped to transform this city all the more. They brought so much to here. And then you think about Center Park Stadium and passing the torch from Turner Field and now the home of the Georgia State Bulldogs. And this field and stadium has gone under major renovations.
Yeah, absolutely. It's looked different in every single form when it was Centennial Olympic Stadium. Like right now, you see we've got these stands running where right field would have been. The whole thing wrapped around, and then they obviously knocked that down to turn into Turner Field in 1997. And then my alma mater, Georgia State, took this thing into their hands and turned it into this beautiful stadium that we've got today. And I tell you, this is certainly not about me tonight. This is about these two great teams that we've got here, but it feels great to be doing a game in a stadium that I literally grew up in.
Spinning off of tackles is Tyler Smith, a freshman out of Gaffney, South Carolina. Nice burst there and shrugging off a couple of would-be tacklers.
And that's what Coach Buse said he wanted to do, find some of these youngsters. You talked about the freshman, Tyler Smith from legendary Gaffney High School down in South Carolina. Wants to see how they do on the big stage, and making runs like that, that'll get you in the thought process of the coaches like, hey, let's give them some more touches.
They feel they have some very promising ball carriers in Smith, Jawan Howell, and Casey Fields, go along with Josh Shaw. Right now, under 2.5 minutes to go in this Cricket MEAC-SWAC Challenge. There has never been a shutout in this. They want to get on the board, but throws like that nearly negate that, as Corey Fields, who checks back into the ball game, pass incomplete. Well, next Sunday night, there's a top 10 matchup here on ABC. It's number 5 LSU and number 8 Florida State, and the Camping World kickoff game in Orlando. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern. Yeah, go ahead.
You know, LSU, I still say a little bit unproven, but everybody's starting to say Brian Kelly got them going the right direction. Florida State, if you had to make a question of which team has gained the most national attention recently to get hot,
Corey Fields slithering right there.
I mean, you know, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, you were talking about them not even being a top 25 team. Now you got them preseason number 8, so a little difference there. So, like, one of those teams is going to show up like, who's for real? I think that's a who's for real game. Do I think both of them for real? I don't. So I want to see who's for real. We'll see.
On the carry. Howell with not much room to run. There's Jeremiah Williams. Now you think about a couple weeks, we'll also see LSU and Grambling State, right?
Yeah.
You think about non-conference schedule for a team like South Carolina State, who will make a return trip to Atlanta in a couple of weeks to take on Georgia Tech. They've got Charlotte, another new staff, completely new, getting to know the 49ers, and then they'll face off against the Citadel on September 23rd. And so, not sure if these South Carolina State Bulldogs are going to show if they're for real or not, but there's a connection. One of the few tonight, Corey Fields, with his 6th completion to Keyshawn Toney.
You touched on a good one there. So, the same time that Grambling is going to LSU, right across Baton Rouge, will be Jackson State visiting Southern.
Yes. Boombox Classic, they call the sonic boom of the South and the human jukebox out of Southern.
So no cap, Baton Rouge is going to be lit. And I always like to keep some young vocabulary every now and then. Did I get it right? No cap, Baton Rouge will be.
You got it. You got
lit.
it right.
Okay. Before the foul, for too many minute players on the field on Jackson State, we have a timeout. Jackson State, this will be a 30-second timeout.
Quick break, we'll step aside, 38 seconds remaining to go. Come back with us here in Atlanta.
Hey, and one more.
I think we got Truist, and big ups to Jason Brown, the transfer quarterback. 26 of 33 tonight, 362 yards in the air, and 3 TDs to go along with his outstanding debut performance in a Tiger uniform. First and goal for South Carolina State. And Corey Fields, to start off this game, feeling the pressure, escapes it here. And brings it down to near the goal line, but a penalty marker out back at the 15-yard line. And you know, South Carolina State does not want to be blanked in this ball game.
Holding, offense, number 32. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
And again, no way has South Carolina State been able to catch a break tonight.
Yeah, and let me just say this now, because I'm going to get ahead of it. You know, people are going to say, oh, it's time for Buddy to go, and, you know, that's how they are. Let's not forget, when they said it was time for Buddy to go 2 years ago, they were trying to say it's time for him to go, and all he did was probably bring them one of their proudest moments when they won that Cricket Celebration Bowl to claim an HBCU National Championship, a team that had lost 4 games during the regular season. So you have to believe and give them benefit of the doubt right now. They're playing a very good football team, and their young team, they should get better.
Corey Fields.
Nice catch.
Wow. He brought it in. Keyshawn Toney. How did he catch that one? Right only where he could haul it in. So touchdown, South Carolina State. And that erases the goose egg.
And, you know, Tony's a tight end transfer who they were very excited about. Watch him go up and attack the ball. Another one of those low trajectory line drive type throws. But in this case here, Tony was able to make a better play on the ball than Callaghan did to save the Bulldogs from being shut out.
The UT Chattanooga is Tony 10 plays, 75 yards. Gavin Zimmerman caps it off with a PAT attempt, and it's good. So that's the type of positive that you're looking for if you're Buddy Pugh in this group. And on the other sideline, TC Taylor. And look, he's got to thank his players for cooling him off in this heat.
What took you so long?
When
it's hot like this, what took you so long? So I like it. You got a starting left tackle doing it along with the center and the forward, the starting left guard.
Quick splash pool action on that Gatorade bath or that water bath for Coach TC Taylor.
There are a lot of individuals that are proud of him, and I'm assuming a lot of folks in Boulder, Colorado are proud of him as well for the job that he did here on the national stage for Jackson State. And I'm sure those fans of the blue, D.I. Love, are hoping it's the first of many.
Well, this was the place that he wanted to be after being anointed the head coach back on December 13, officially taking over at the conclusion of last season. Introduced at the start of the year back in January. TC Taylor, pride of Jackson State, has got to feel great right now. And again, probably 10 degrees cooler from just the way his team has performed tonight from start to finish. Just about we have seen all that Jackson State has to offer. Hey, look, this is what the scene was like last year, and guess what? They still going hard for their coach. They're still going hard for TC. You hear those chants?
Look at that, Chen. TC.
Jackson State fans are letting them know how much they believe in their new head coach. And just giving notice to everybody that it's TC time. In his head coaching debut, TC Taylor picks up win number 1. The Jackson State alumnus leads his alma mater to a 37-7 victory here in this MEAC-SWAC challenge. And our Harry Lyles is standing by with the head Tiger.
Coach, first one is Jackson State's head coach. How does this one feel?
It feels good. It feels good, man. I give credit to this football team. You know, we've been working our butts off. I mean, this coaching staff, I mean, it's been a grind. And, you know, for them to come out here and, you know, play this game the way we played it today is truly a blessing.
You talked earlier in the week about your team playing physical, really showing that, hey, this is the standard that we've set the last few years. You've been here for that. How did they prove that tonight?
I mean, MEAC conference, we talk about those guys in the MEAC being a physical football team, and we came out and set the tone. You know, we wanted to shut down the run, you know, and make them throw the football. But, you know, we knew we had a fast football team could fly around, but we wanted to just see how physical we could be. You know, we got 11 hats to the ball, and my hat's off to the defense right now. Great job.
Go enjoy this one.
Hey, I will, man. Guard the yard. Go Tigers.
Back to you, Tiff.
Thanks so much.